What is our obsession with celebrities? Do they influence what we buy? What if there's a scandal? How does this impact on brands? Hi there, I'm Jackie Null and Media and Money starts now. Joining us to unpack the world of celebrities and brands are Editor-in-Chief, Heat Magazine, Melinda Shaw, CEO of Ornico, Oresti Patrikios, Connie Ferguson and Mark Pilgrim. Welcome to the show. So the topic under discussion today is celebrities and endorsements. But Melinda, I think we should start with why are we so obsessed with celebrities?
Celebrities lead the life that we all want, don't you guys? You know, they're more pretty than the rest of us, they've got more money, they have fabulous jobs that the rest of us want. And I think, you know, in olden days we were probably looking at the person in the neighborhood who had the flashiest car and the biggest house.
The Joneses.
The Joneses, you know, the prettier of the Joneses. And celebrities are that on steroids, really. So I think that's what people look for. People want idols, you know, you want to look up to somebody and aspire to having more than you actually have in your mundane little life.
Do you think it also makes us feel better about ourselves when we see someone has a bad hair day or cellulite or whatever the case?
Definitely, because there they are, you know, and they've got a fantastic life. They've got all these opportunities, but their husbands also cheat on them.
Yeah.
They also have breakouts occasionally, and it makes the rest of us feel more human, I think.
So Mark, you got married not so long ago and you just had a baby. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So how does it feel living in this public domain, and your family for that matter?
Well, the public do feel that they know you really well.
Yeah.
So of course there's always the weird thing when you're walking through a shopping mall, they come up to you as if they just spoke to you yesterday and you have no idea who's coming up to you. And that's part of the job. We embrace it because without them, you wouldn't be doing the job you're doing.
That's
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you're not going to embrace it, then you shouldn't be doing the job that you're doing.
Exactly.
Because especially me, having been on a soap for 16 years, a lot of people grew up with me. A lot of people grew up seeing me, so they feel like they know you intimately.
That's right. And you're on daily. So
and you're on daily, so you know you don't have the right to suddenly shun them when they want like a minute of your time.
You're like
and Connie,
family.
you also married to a celebrity. Does that make it easier? Do you have more of an understanding for one another in the public eye?
I think that makes it much easier because from his point of view, he can understand when people want to talk to me and vice versa. So I think we both patient with people, whereas if it was somebody from a different industry, they wouldn't understand people demanding my time and
interrupting your dinner,
interrupting my dinner, for example. And if my children also didn't grow up in the industry, they wouldn't understand that, you know, actually when people see Mummy, they see Karabo.
Right.
And they want to talk to Karabo. I mean, my little one is so gracious about it. You know, sometimes she even coordinates photographs for the fans,
So Oresti, let's look at a branding, from a branding perspective. So if your brand is looking for a celebrity, surely they're looking for someone that will fit the brand values. But how do you actually go about getting the right celebrity for the right brand?
Well, I think that's exactly what the guys are saying. They're building their own brands initially. They're building up their own values. They're building up what they espouse and what they and it's got to be linked up really to the brand at the end of the day. So the brand and the celebrity need to kind of match. Otherwise, you're going to stuff up the brand.
So it's about a promise, because let's look at a brand. What is a brand? A promise. And they are their own brand, and a brand is the brand. So it's a brand promise. But Melinda, let's look at when the promise is broken. And that is when it's all over the news and celebrity magazines.
Just look at the Trevor Noah Cell C example at the
right.
moment, you know, where a lot of people feel very angry that they felt that they were taken for a fool, that their promises were made to them about something, and then it turns out, no, it was all a scam or a campaign to benefit a brand. I think it's a very tricky road to walk down, and obviously marketers take chances. You have to push the envelope and try new things, and sometimes it doesn't work, you know.
Do you think it's affected him, Trevor?
I think it probably has affected the brand because his credibility is now a little bit under question. You know, is Trevor, can you buy Trevor Noah's goodwill? Because he went on a show where people paid money to go to, they were there to see Trevor Noah doing his thing, and he was actually doing a marketing exercise. He was dissing the other cell operators. It's a tricky thing, and I think he probably will not necessarily have done it the same way or will do it
If you had
again
a
the same way
choice.
if he had a choice.
But this is the pitfalls that are out there, isn't it? So how do you decide what endorsements to go for and what not?
Well, I think the South African market is maybe a bit smaller than what happens in the States. So it's not necessarily that I'm sitting there and I've got 5 car manufacturers all wanting me to endorse them. It's a matter of, well, this client wants to use me. Does it fit with my brand? Is there congruency? So I can say yes or no. I can't necessarily choose amongst a variety.
Right. Do you personally make that decision, or do you have a manager that helps you? Do you know?
It's a combination of an agent and yourself. You have to use
Right.
your own integrity as well
Yeah.
and your business acumen.
It's your
Hopefully
brand
you have
at the end of the day.
yes. Yes.
Connie?
No, totally agreeing with what Mark is saying. I have a manager. My husband manages me. And it's very
At work
important.
or at home?
But for me personally, I think it is very important to pick and choose. For me, I need to know that the values that I aspire to and that I represent, the brand that I represent aspires to the same values. So, for example, with Garnier, when we met, there was just so much synergy there. The first time that they approached me to be a brand ambassador for
Right.
Even and Matt. And it was, I mean, gosh, going back years ago, before being brand ambassadors was so big and it became a trend in South Africa, we just used to do ads. You know, they wouldn't use your name. Nobody knew who you were. You'd go to an audition with 100, 200 other people auditioning for one brand, get paid a lousy amount, and they're going to broadcast that advert for a year, and still nobody knows who you are because you're just an actor representing a brand. So that's not an endorsement. So an endorsement is different in that you associate who you
Of
are.
course, you're the face of
You
the brand.
are the face of that brand. So you associate you with that brand.
But now, how tight are your contracts in terms of what you can and cannot use? Let's say you were doing USN. I mean, obviously you can't use competitive products, but how tight are those contracts?
Well, I think each and every contract is an individual contract, and you can set various parameters. I actually had a very informal relationship with USN. There was actually nothing on paper. It was a brand which I wanted to use. Now, I think that's always the first question a celeb must ask themselves. Is it a brand I would use even if I wasn't endorsing it?
Right.
And I think that's an important
that
question.
would be number one for the brand as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? But let's look.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, from Connie's point, I think there's a risk for the brand as well. Because you have this person that's actually aligned to your brand, or you perceive it to be aligned to your brand, and then all of a sudden they kind of
It
go
is
off
a
the
risk.
rails.
Look at Britney. She was the face of Pepsi, and she was seen in tabloids drinking Coca-Cola. She lost the deal.
And Britney
Rightfully
is,
so.
We
Yeah.
all think
Rightfully
Britney
so.
is a flake. You expect that from her, but Charlize has done something
Raymond
similar.
Weil.
She had the
With the
contract
watch,
with
yeah.
Raymond Weil,
That's right.
and then she was on a news conference wearing a Dior watch,
Yeah.
and they sued her for $20 million, and that was settled out of court, and the terms were never made
Yeah.
available. But
So there's pros and cons to both.
there are
to
pros
the
and
brand
cons to both,
the
and I think
celebrity.
it's not, obviously Charlize didn't do that intentionally, and she obviously gets a million different options, and she probably can choose between which brand she would like or like not to endorse, but then something like this still happens and causes great havoc for the brand owner, obviously.
But let's just look at a branding perspective again. And let's take Connie, for example, Oresti, where she's the spokesperson for a beauty product. Do you not think that, I mean, in terms of the expectation on her to always look beautiful, I mean, do you ever leave the house without your makeup in your hair? You probably dare not to.
I actually never wear makeup. When I walked in here, you saw me, I wasn't wearing makeup.
Yeah.
I prefer a clean, fresh look. So for me, it's not pressure necessarily. I believe in taking care.
Okay.
And I believe when I take care of myself, it will radiate makeup or no makeup.
What's your
And I
thoughts on
think-
that?
Yeah, I
Of
think
brands
people-
putting pressure on their celebrities.
Look, I think people want natural people, and they kind of feel more
That they can
alike.
relate
And I
to.
think
Yeah.
I think the Dove, that Dove beauty,
The Dove ad, the beauty
yes,
soap.
With the
absolutely.
normal people.
with normal
Yes.
I
people.
call
And
it
I think
normal.
that, and I think that started
public.
changing people's perceptions that hey, everything can't be glossy, and I think people are looking for normal people.
How can we judge the effectiveness? I mean, let's look at Mark with USN. I mean, you went through this whole transformation, so I think you can see, okay, well, if I take this product, this is what I look like. This, but for other products, how can you judge the effectiveness, Oresti?
Well, I think through sales.
Okay.
Number one, I think that the reason why we advertise is to increase sales, full stop, and I think that's one of the issues. But some of the research that I was going through said that advertising agencies actually use celebrities because it's going to stand out in the clutter. Whether that's true or not, I'm not 100% sure. Does it really stand through the clutter? I don't know.
People keep doing it, so it must be working.
It must be
You know,
working.
people have repeat contracts. You know, so if it wasn't working for the brand owner, they wouldn't do it. So
And then, of course, it's lucrative, isn't it? Would that be your main motivation for taking on a?
Well, I think it's a combination of, I mean, it is an income generating
Yeah.
avenue, but also it actually enhances my brand. If I'm affiliated with the right brand,
Right.
my brand is lifted up.
Okay.
And it's about keeping my name
So it's
out
both.
there. Absolutely. So the USN, for example, sorry, just to let you know, is you'd be driving down the road and I'd be on the billboard. And you'd think of me. And that's what it's about, beyond money.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Mark. I've been on television for 22 years, but since signing my deal with Garnier, it's like it has elevated my personal brand to another level. Now, more than to just that of an entrepreneur, actress on TV, to someone who can actually represent an international brand.
And that creates more opportunities.
It
like
does
you
create
say.
more opportunities,
That's what-
yes.
Let's look at the Oprah effect that we call Aresti, where, I mean, she is such a trusted brand.
Yeah.
If she endorses anything, overnight, that product will become a success. Isn't that what then brands are aiming for? at the end of the day?
I think that's exactly it. And it really works for the brand as long as the celebrity is kind of pulling their weight. And I think the Tiger issue is one. You know, it really worked. Tiger was around. Those brands were fantastic. But until Tiger went off the rails, it impacted on some of the brands. And actually, I saw an advertising age, some research that was done as well, that after the Tiger Woods episode, some of the brands were actually contemplating whether they should use celebrities or not. You know.
But then you look at something, you mentioned Oprah, that's for the older generation. Justin Bieber, who was just here, he is probably the only 16-year-old on the planet, well, he is the only 16-year-old on the planet who has almost 5 million Twitter followers. So you can imagine the power that he has.
That's incredible.
He has just signed a deal, I think he gets $3 million over 2 years for endorsing an acne product.
And he's 16.
Yeah.
And he has no pimples.
He has no
Well,
pimples.
that's incredible, isn't it?
So maybe it's the product that is working.
Could be.
And they have
That's
seen...
what teenagers, because teenagers are impressionable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You look at him, he's your idol, he looks hot. He says use this product.
They
They
damn
saw something
well
like,
gonna
they
do
said
that.
1,000 percentage point increase on the hits on their website, this particular product, because obviously he speaks for a specific demographic and they all go for it. They will believe it.
Do celebrity endorsements influence what you buy, Mark?
To a certain degree, I think because I'm in the industry, I know sometimes if I look at Trevor Noah and Cell C, I'll go, okay, well, he's not going to convince me to go to Cell C because I know he's getting 3 million rand or whatever the case may
Right,
be for that.
okay. So you see through it.
I like to think I do, but I probably do get caught on.
But on the international stage, I mean, there must be. Are you a celebrity follower?
Well, I do in terms of my show. I report a lot on Celeb News, but if Brad Pitt was wearing a new type of cologne, I wouldn't run out and go get that
Right,
cologne.
okay, okay. Connie?
Me neither, actually. I would like to set trends and not so much follow them.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Aresti?
I think my children do. There's no doubt
So it's
about it.
the younger
The younger
generation.
generation do.
Melinda?
And I think celebrities make it stand out. Somebody made the point earlier. I'm thinking specifically of the Oscar Pistorius Just Do It Nike ad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go run out and buy Nike, but when I'm in a shop and I see the swoosh and I think of that, it makes the brand stick in my head, definitely.
So it's more about brand building rather
Yeah.
than, you know,
Run out and buy the exact product, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining
Pleasure.
us.
Thanks.